Last week we started talking about the print function and printing text. Today we're going to look at working with numbers. So let me show you here. I can do print, and as a number, a string, I can do print 5 or print just the number 5. Now look at the difference here. This is a string because it has quotes. Can you see that okay, by the way? Is that big enough? Okay. Notice the quotes. Here, there are no quotes. Well, if I run this, notice they both print the number 5. Well, the difference is this. This is a number. This is just a string of text. It will print whatever I put in there, for like 5 plus 5, as opposed to this. If I did 5 plus 5, I can put numbers or mathematical equations in here. Here, look at the difference now. Run. This prints what's between the quotes. This prints the result of the equation, the sum, 5 plus 5 or 10. All right. Now I can actually combine these into a single print statement. Let me show you. So if I do print 5 plus 5 equals and just click run, I get 5 plus 5 equals exactly what's in the quotes. Now, what if I want to print the calculation or a number, but we'll do a calculation right after it. Okay. Well, I could do comma. This is a delimiter. This means I'm no longer printing this string, but I'm going to print something else. And now this is where I can put in, and by the way, I can have spaces or no spaces here, also between the commas, other side of the comma. But notice this says I have comma and then a mathematical expression. So let's see what I get here. Run. Notice I get 5 plus 5 equals, and then it adds 5 plus 5, and I get 10. Does that make sense? Okay.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Does that work with numbers only if you do the comma?
No, no. It also, we can put other things like something called variables. We'll learn about that.
Okay.
So what if I put 10 minus 3 here? Okay, now just because I have 10 minus 3 here doesn't mean if I don't have the right formula here, the right numbers, this is going to be wrong. It's going to say 10 minus 3 equals 10. So just because this is just text, nothing else. So if I want this to be correct, I would say 10, and I'll show you we don't need spaces. There we go. Okay. All right. And I'll talk more about print statement. Well, we're going to do, by the way, this week is the last week that I include this as part of the lecture. Next week, we'll have 2-hour lecture, 1.5 to 2 hours, and then I'll be posting videos that they'll be on Canvas as well, where you will follow along with Python. Okay. All right. So let's look at some other things. So we see where we can print strings and numbers. I can also do things like this. I can say, I don't know, Luigi was my dog who passed away. He passed away at 5th Luigi is, and let's say I'm going to do, that's the text. Luigi is. Or can we simply, don't add those quotes? You have to have the quotes. If you want So you can't just say, let me answer that question. If I did 10 plus 5. Oops, that's not 10. 10 plus 5. Now that's a valid equation. But if I did like equals, that's, well, let's run it. Let's see what happens. It doesn't understand this. So because this has to be a valid equation. So that's why I have to do, if I can do 10 plus 5 equals, comma, and then 10 plus 5. Whoops. Run that. This is a valid equation that it will do the calculation. Okay. All right, let's say I want to say Luigi is, and I want to have it do a calculation for me. And what I'm going to do is, he was 15 at the time, 15, but I'm going to do that in dog years, or from dog years to people years, whatever they call it. I guess dog years, they say. 15 times 7 in dog years. So if you notice, what I have here is I have a string of text, comma, an equation. Oh, I forgot my comma. There we go. Another comma. That's important. Comma, an equation, comma, and then another string of text and parentheses. And I get Luigi is 105 in dog years. Okay. So I can do combinations like this. Just separate my, in this case, we haven't talked about other things yet, like variables and other things. But for now, I can mix my strings of text and my numbers or mathematical expressions just by using these commas. Okay. Now, I can also do things with real numbers, floating point numbers. Okay, so let's say if I did 10.7 plus 2.4 equals. Now that, of course, isn't just going to just write out the text. This is just text as far as Python is concerned. Doesn't see it as numbers. But if I put 10.7, make sure I get this correct, 2.4, there's my mathematical expression. Notice I get, because I'm using floating point or real numbers, I get a floating point or real number here as well. Okay. Now we can also do division. Okay, let me show you. If I went, let's just, if I did, and I'm just going to do I won't do the text, although here, if you see, I show you, I'm doing text and then followed by the equation. Well, let's just go ahead and I'll copy these. How about that? Copy. Paste. All right, that's easy. Okay, so I'm going to do 10 divided by 5 or 10 divided by 3. Do both of these. 10 divided by 5, that's, we remember our math, right? Oops, get the right pen here. 10 divided by 5, okay, is 2. 10 divided by 3, now it gives me the decimal. 3.33333. Now notice it gives me all these decimal places and then it rounds it off. Now I'm not going to get into this here. Later I'll show a little bit more in a couple, 2-3 weeks about different things we can do with print to format things the way we want to see it. But that's not important right now. Okay. All right, we can also do remainders. Let me explain what that means. Okay, so let me copy this. Remember, we talked about remainders last week. Clear that. Okay, so we can use this to get the remainder of something. For example, we talked about this when we talked about algorithms. 10 divided by 5. Well, that's 2. 2 times 5 is 10. And remember, so we have a remainder of 0. I also can do 10 divided by 3. Let's see what my remainder is. 10 divided by 3. Okay. 3 goes into 10 3 times. And we get a remainder of 1. Okay, well, let's see what happens when I run this. Notice here's my remainder, 0. My remainder of 1. So that's how I can get a remainder. It's called a modulus. Okay. How we doing? Everybody getting this okay? Kind of fun? Everybody all right? Okay, good. All right. Let's do exponents, powers. Here, I got this right here, and I'm going to clear this so we can. So what if I wanted to do, and let me expand this a little bit so you can see it. 10 to the power of a number. Like, remember exponents? 10 to the power of 0. Whoops. Oh, still there, are you? 10 to the power of 0, 10 to the power of 1, 10 to the power of 2, or 10 squared. So 10 to the power of 0, anything to the power of 0, as we'll see, is 0. 10 to the power of 1 is just 10 times 1. 10, or 10, really. 10 to the power of 2 is 10 times 10. 10 to the power of 3 is 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times the power of 4 is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Okay. The way we do this is using this to indicate this. Okay. So let's, Rick, there we go. Run this, and here we go. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, etc. So that's how we can do exponents. Okay. We can actually do some fancy things as well. We'll learn how to even make it easier. But let's say I we got this little formula here. So we can let Python do all the work. Here's a little formula. Let me clear this here. Here. Stretch this out so you can see it a little bit better. Kind of stretch out a little bit more. There we go. I have text 75 degrees Fahrenheit is, comma. Then I have this formula. I put Fahrenheit right here. There's different ways to do this, by the way. Subtract 32, multiply it by 5, divide by 9, and then you get the Celsius. So 75 degrees is, in Fahrenheit, or 75 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm sorry, is 23.8 degrees or 0.889 degrees Celsius. Because everybody in the world uses the metric system, but the United States and I think Liberia. Okay. But so you can make these cool little formulas. Now, the only problem with, not problem, we're going to see later when we do variables. What if I wanted to change this? What if it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit? Well, I'd have to change this. We'll see later how we can ask the user. That's coming up next week. Variables. Now let's run this. 100 degrees Fahrenheit is 37.7 degrees Celsius. So this is what we call hard-coded. I'm putting in, I have to go into the code to put the value. Next week, we'll see how we can ask the user to enter that in. Very cool. All right. I also have the opposite, Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, there's one more I want to show you. And that's these comparative operators. Is something equal to, greater than, whatever, than something else? Let me show you. If I can use these comparative operators, and you see them over here on the right, equal, not equal, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. If I want to ask, and it's going to return true or false. So if I want to say, is 10 greater than 5? Well, is that a true or false statement? Is 10 greater than 5? That's true. Okay. Is 10 greater than 15? There we go, clear that. Is 10 greater than 15? That would be false. Oh. Is 10 less than 15? Yeah, true. Is it less than or equal to 15? Oh. Less than or, wrong place there. There we go. Come here. Less than or equal to. Okay. Boolean, it's getting Boolean values, true, false. Yeah. We'll talk about Boolean in a few weeks. So is 10 less than or equal to 15? Okay, and it returns, as Xavier said, the Boolean value. Well, let's run it. True, yes. Is 10 equal to 15? Is it the same? False. Is 10 equal to 10? True. Now we'll see how we use these Boolean operators a little later. Okay. All right. But for now, what I need you to do is this week, do this little Python program. Now, again, when you Python program, do this exercise, this canvas. Again, you get one try at this. It's not the end of the world if you miss one or two, okay? But remember what you can do. Try these things. You can copy and paste. You can take this, copy it, go into the online compiler. You can then paste that in, and you can actually run it and verify you got the answer correct. Okay, take your time. There's not that many questions. Take your time. Don't be afraid to, also have fun with this. Whoops, with the pilot. Here we go. Play with it. Take what I have here and just try different things. All right, everybody good? All right. Good, good. All right, well, then I'll let you go.